From Olympic City and the home of Pikes Peak, this is the Automotive ADHD Show. Oh yeah, here we are rocking it on the Automotive ADHD Show, heard on the radio in Southern Colorado, 91.7 KLZR, and also heard around the world as a podcast. Matt West here, hanging out with you, talking cars on a Thanksgiving week. We got a lot of stuff to get to. We're going to talk about how California is now writing fines for stock exhausts. Yeah, if you have a stock exhaust, boom, fine. So, yeah, I'm dead serious. It sounds funny, but we're going to talk about it. We're going to talk about some Black Friday car buying advice from Jeff Bezos, of all people. This is interesting. He's got some thoughts. I'm going to touch on that as well. And we're going to talk about perhaps the coolest Porsche is actually now in production. I'm going to update my story from last week. We're going to touch on that. Your car sounds, all of the above, right here on the show. You have, of course, tuned into the correct car show. Oh, yeah. And one more thing before we get to that. You know what it is time for? It is time for the RPM Act. Yeah, I know. You're like, come on, man, you talked about this last week. I know I did. And I want to talk about it every single week until we get this darn thing passed and we protect our right to have race cars. The EPA wants to take away your ability to turn street cars into competition-only track cars, and we aren't going to let them do it. NASCAR and F1, they have billions of dollars, and it's not a problem for them, mysteriously enough. But the dude wrenching in his garage, you and me, the enthusiast, we are the targets of the EPA. The little guy here is being bullied by the EPA. We need to make sure that doesn't happen. What happens if the EPA puts all of the manufacturers as well who make your speed parts for your race car? Well, they tend to make street parts too for, other street cars and modifications. Your road legal catback exhaust, your wheels, all the different stuff. All of that is going to go away if the EPA has their will. And we need to make sure that doesn't happen. SaveOurRaceCars.com. Write a letter to your congressional representatives. The easy thing is actually writing the letter, because if you go to SaveOurRaceCars.com, it's pre-built. You just click it, put in your zip code. It tells you who your reps are. 2 clicks later, you're done. The letter's been mailed off. Listeners of the show have wrote me on the Facebook page and said that they did it, and they actually got responses from their representatives, which is amazing. I think that's fantastic. So again, check it out. SaveOurRaceCars.com. Let's get the RPM Act passed. Let's do it. That's the only way we can keep doing car stuff. If you like cars even the tiniest amount, which you're listening to this show, so I have a good feeling you might. Maybe you just hate yourself and you hate cars, but you listen to the show anyway. You know what? Even if that's you, you know what? Go check it out. SaveOurRaceCars.com. So anyway, going to do a little bit shorter of a show this week. I've been very, very busy. All sorts of crazy stuff going on. And of course, with the holiday coming up, everything bunches together fast. So we're going to keep the show a little bit shorter than usual, but it's going to be just as packed as you are used to. Now, of course, we have Thanksgiving coming up this week. And for my friends listening internationally who might not be familiar with the American holiday of Thanksgiving, that, of course, is the holiday where every year we eat copious amounts of delicious food and be thankful for the invention of the 4th-gen small block Chevy. That is what the holiday is about. Of course, the 4th-gen small block Chevy was actually invented when the Pilgrims were crossing the ocean coming to North America. They needed things to power their ships with, so that's where the small block Chevy actually came from. So that's why we celebrate it every Thanksgiving. So now, obviously, what I am thankful for is cars. This is a car show. I'm thankful for standalone ECUs. They make the world go round. They make my race cars work, and they make my 40-year-old Corolla run on ethanol too, which is super cool. So I like that. VTEC is cool. Enough said. VTEC. Boom. Perfect. Also, the here's one of the other things I'm super thankful for. Is the Facebook page Crackheads with Volvo 240s. Oh my gosh, I talked about that a couple weeks ago when I mentioned my impulsive decision to buy a Volvo 240, which, by the way, is coming along good. I haven't had much time to work on it lately, but OBD1 Kenobi is going to be coming over later this week and helping out with some of the wiring on it. Might get a standalone ECU with the factory red block. We don't even care. It's just going to standalone it with the factory red block for now. And then maybe T6 swap it in the future. The Volvo white block 6-cylinder is a great engine. It's like the Swedish 2J. It's an underrepresented swap. It's cheap. It's affordable. No one is buying them up in junkyards yet, and I'm going to make something really cool. That's at least the tentative plan. And then, of course, the Toyota AE86 with the Volvo 5-cylinder swap is coming along well, but I've had to put it on hold just because I'm too busy with work. I got too many cars, man. Too many cars. I got to take it one at a time. The engine is in there, though. The mounts are made. The engine's in there. The trans is in there. Got to put it together, the wiring, the fuel system, and get a different turbo. For now, that's it. Though, one of the biggest things I am thankful for this holiday season, and this is like a legit one. I'm not even being sarcastic here. I bought myself a Milwaukee electric ratchet with the long head, the long neck electric ratchet. That is like the best thing ever. Yeah, it was a couple $100. I thought, nope, I'll never need an electric ratchet. I'm fine with hand tools. Come on, it's just a ratchet. Come on, I'm not going to spend $200, $300 on a ratchet. Nope, mind blown. I bought it anyway. I've been using it for like 6 months. I pick up like a regular ratchet now, and I'm like, ew, it doesn't turn itself. Yeah. So anyway, hey, by the way, if you've got things you are thankful for, like 4th gen small block Chevys, go ahead and let me know on the Facebook page, facebook.com/automotiveadhd. And you can also send your car sounds into the show there. I love playing them. That's what I do every week. You send your car sounds in, and I play them on the radio to the chagrin of radio program directors around the country. I do it anyway because I like it. So you should definitely do that. Now, I want to give you a brief update on a story about last week. Last week, I talked about the Porsche 911 Volcano Climbing Special Edition, homologation, one-off special, all of the above. And I was just kind of like oozing over it, thinking, how cool is this? Yeah, this is probably to promote the Porsche 911 Dakar Edition, but who knows if they're actually going to make it? Is anyone going to buy it? I swear, the day after I published that episode of the podcast, the day after that, Porsche pulled the cover off on the 2023 911 Dakar Edition. It is DAKAR, not like Dakar. It's a Dakar, man. No, it's for the Dakar Rally. And it is a lifted off-road 911 that has it comes with a factory roof rack that's got these really trick like LED lights built into it. It looks super sick. And it's got 473 horsepower out of a flat six with a turbo that comes out of the 911 Carrera GTS. And it is offered, sadly at the moment, only with the PDK automatic, which isn't really sad because the Porsche PDKs are, phenomenally good. If you're going to have an automatic, the PDK is the best automatic you can perhaps ever get, aside from a truly race-bred, sequential dog box subtype, with paddle shifters or whatever. No, which isn't really an automatic anyway. But that said, a rally car like this should have a manual transmission, in my opinion. It would be a major throwback to the Porsche 959 if you had a 6-speed manual with a extra 7-speed low gear ratio. But alas, we have an off-road Porsche. It is real. It is in production. They are making it. It's got lifted suspension, and I think it's amazing, especially when Porsche is, going all out on their SUVs. So is Lamborghini, and so is Bentley, and all these luxury brands are selling SUVs because people want SUVs. What are people not asking for? Well, normal people. They're not asking for sports cars that are lifted with big knobby off-road tires. No one's reasonable is asking for that. I've been asking for that since I was literally able to walk on this earth. Since I was a child, I've been asking for that. But normal people don't normally ask for that. But regardless, Porsche has caved to the demands of radio talk show hosts and automotive podcasters around the world and made an off-road 911. Now, the only tragedy here is it is going to be a limited production, 2,500 units as of now, and they come in at a little over $200,000. So it's not cheap at all. But that said, Porsche is able to actually, what's really clever about the suspension, it's a lifted sports car. You think, well, that can't be that stable. How safe is it? They say the suspension is adjustable in height, and at its maximum height, the car is still able to do 105 miles an hour comfortably and safely. And imagine the fact that you're doing 105 miles per hour off-road, which is especially insane, in my opinion. So yeah, is this going to be the fastest top-speed 911? No, but if you wanted that, you weren't going to buy a rally-specific car anyway. And again, I think this is a brilliant thing. I think more of these need to exist. Some of their marketing pamphlets here have shown it driving around snowy, frozen areas. If you live in a part of the country or a part of the world that consistently sees high amounts of snowfall, but you want a fun sports car and you really can't justify it, maybe you can now. Just like how they tested their lifted prototype on a volcano last week. If you need to get groceries at the top of a volcano, that's what you use. Well, this is just the production variant of that. And now, in all fairness, when it comes to at least snowy driving, I've had a lot of fun just putting snow tires on sports cars. That is a lot of fun. Now, the benefit of this 911, as opposed to me sticking snow tires on my Honda S2000, which I have done. I have a whole nother set of wheels and studded snow tires for it, and it's an absolute hoot to rip that thing around in the snow. You throw the top down, you turn the heater on. One of the worst blizzards we had here like 2 years ago, I was ripping that thing around, and people looked at me like I was insane. Like, people were stuck in off-road capable cars. And here I was passing them in a sports car, in an S2000 with the top down. It was, oh man, you can't have more fun than that, except perhaps in this Porsche, because this Porsche is 473 horsepower, like I said, and it's all-wheel drive. That's important. That all-wheel drive is really what makes this thing off-road capable, snow capable. Again, the only tragedy, and here is the official price, is it's expensive. $223,450, and you can't expect reasonably to pick one of these up at a dealer for MSRP, I would imagine. I don't think you're getting one at MSRP unless you are really good friends with your sales guy at the Porsche dealer, and you've bought probably several other Porsches before, just so you could, build some good favor with them to get the off-road one. That, I think, is the shame. The exclusivity, the low production number, that is the shame, because this is a cool car. With those low production numbers, with 2,500 of these being produced, now Porsche might make another run. They haven't said if they would or wouldn't. So folks who are, buying this car, betting that it's going to be a super rare example, that there's only 2,500 ever made, and they're going to buy it and sit on it and collect it and wait for it to become valuable in 20 years. Those people don't deserve this car, for one, because it's an off-road Porsche, and you know what they wouldn't be doing? They wouldn't be driving it off-road. Anyone who buys this car to collect it wouldn't be driving it off-road. Therefore, they don't deserve it, in my opinion. But that said, Porsche has neither confirmed nor denied that, which has kind of been the way they do things lately, because they don't want collectors and flippers. More importantly, they don't want flippers. They don't want people who buy the car at MSRP and then go and flip it for 3-4 times MSRP, because Porsche doesn't make profit from that. And overall, it just ruins the image that they have. It's the same problem as dealers who ask for significantly higher than MSRP when it comes to things like this. So there might be more of these in the future, and I don't know, maybe after someone wrecks one, I can afford it. So that's the one I'll be able to afford. After someone wrecks it, I'll be able to afford that one. But I think it's cool. More manufacturers should do this. I mean, how sick would it be to have a off-road rally-focused C8 Corvette, or, let me think of any other fancy performance car. I mean, imagine any company's flagship car, and then them making an off-road version of that. I mean, how about the Audi R8 off-road edition? How about the, Ferrari 488 rally-inspired version? I mean, come on. This is a whole segment of the market that needs representation. We want our off-road sports cars, and we want them now. End of story. So anyway, hey, coming up, I got a lot of other fun stuff to talk about on this edition of the show. We are going to talk about some questionable but actually reasonable advice from Dr. Evil himself. That is coming up here in just a minute.
Every day, thousands go without the ability to buy necessary and life-saving parts. Parts like turbos, coilovers, and wheels.
I'm Steve, turbocharged BRZ. It doesn't run because I can play with my connecting rod through the hole in my block.
Project cars sit unfinished, waiting for parts, collecting dust.
My name is Todd, and I bought a rotary.
It's okay, bro. We'll swap it.
But no more. You, yes you, can make a difference. More information is available on the Automotive ADHD Facebook page, facebook.com/automotive ADHD.
Oh, man. That was cool. That was super cool. That car sound was from Tanner. Now, last week, he sent in his V8 swapped Jaguar, and now he's got a V8 swapped Volvo 164. He put that up on the Facebook page, facebook.com/automotive ADHD. He said, hey, I heard you like Volvos. Here you go. That one is sick. I am going to have to show that to friend of the show, OBD1 Kenobi, because he is the biggest Volvo fan there is. I mean, he's such a Volvo fan that he's literally built his career around it. So I'm going to have to show that to him. He's going to dig it. That's going to be awesome. Tanner, thank you for sending that car sound into the show. And also, just thank you for having such cool cars. That's awesome. It's, the week of Thanksgiving and being in the spirit of being thankful. And your cars are cool, and I like that. So anyway, hey, if you've got car sounds you want to share, I will play them on the radio and on the podcast. Do it. Facebook.com/automotive ADHD. Check that out. Also, while you're there, check out thespeedcouncil.org. Thespeedcouncil.org. I know, I have the domain for that. It's mine. And if you click it, you find some cool stuff. So anyway, hey, so I want to talk about billionaires, okay? Before we talk about Dr. Evil, and I got to give a hat tip here to Jalopnik specifically, because Jalopnik put together a list of cars that Elon Musk could have bought. And by cars, I don't mean individual cars. I mean the car companies themselves. And this actually comes by way of Steve DeSilva from Jalopnik. And, Elon Musk currently is... And we'll get on to Dr. Evil, Jeff Bezos. But while we're on the topic of billionaires, Elon Musk currently is the richest man in the world at the moment. Obviously, with Tesla, with SpaceX, with the Boring Company, and he is the new owner of Twitter at, a crispy $44 billion. And that's a substantial amount of money. Now, probably 5 months ago, I did a topic on the show where I talked about how Elon Musk, and at the time it was his offer on Twitter. He hadn't bought it at that point, but for his $44 billion offer, he could actually buy every Toyota Corolla in existence. Every Corolla in existence from the start of production to now. He could have bought every single Toyota Corolla. Which is amazing, and it's a shame that he hasn't done that. Well, maybe not so, because a couple of those Corollas belong to me, and I'm not giving them up. Not even to Elon. I'm not giving them to Elon. He's not getting my Corollas. But that said, Steve DeSilva from Jalopnik did put together a list of entire companies that Musk could buy for his initial, for the price that he bought Twitter at, and it's substantial. We're talking Suzuki Motors. He could buy all of Suzuki, all of it. They make different cars. They make, motorcycles. They make the Jimny. The Jimny is cool. The modern version of the old Samurai as it was sold here in the United States. Sweet. You could buy every Jimny. You could buy the company that makes the Jimnys and have as many as he wants. going on here, too, there's a number of different Chinese companies he could buy. The company Li Auto, I've never heard of them because I'm not in China, but he could buy them. They're $18.6 billion. Lucid Motors, you may have heard of them. They're an upcoming Tesla competitor, and they've been fairly promising in their cars, though quality control has been a big issue with them lately. But they're marketing more upscale Teslas, essentially. They are marketing their cars as true luxury EVs. And they are valued at $18.9 billion. So he could actually buy Lucid Motors and all of Suzuki together. He could buy them both for how much he bought Twitter. Mahindra is the quirky little Indian company that makes what are essentially Jeep CJ5s, like the old school CJ5s. They still make them, and they make them because they have had the license to make them since World War II, so since around that time. So they still make them, and they're really cool, and they were for sale here in the United States for a while, and then Jeep decided to sue them, and then they're back on sale, and they had to change some stuff. But basically, if you want a modern-day CJ5 with a little diesel engine and a manual transmission, it's not technically road legal. But if you were in the market between a side-by-side, all-terrain vehicle that you have to trailer to the trail, or if you have a farm and you need a nice vehicle, honestly, these little Mahindras are cool. They are cool. Elon could buy them. He could buy the Indian Tata Motors Company for $19.6 billion, and Kia. He could buy Tata and Kia both, the entirety of Kia. He could buy both of those companies and still have $4 billion left over to, I don't know, spend on whatever it is he does in his free time. What does he do? I guess he builds spaceships. That's what he does in his free time. Much like the other billionaire we'll talk about as well. Rivian is valued at $28.74 billion. He could buy them. You think that could be a good business move because he would be buying his predominantly, I'd say, one of the most. They're not the biggest competitor to Tesla. Tesla has to be more worried about General Motors, about Ford, about Chrysler catching up to them. Rivian is still very much a startup, but Rivian right now definitely has the market for EV pickup trucks. I think the Rivian EV pickup trucks also are pretty sharp looking. They look good. They have some neat ideas. Again, quality control is a concern. Also being able to charge it anywhere, that's a concern. Tesla definitely has the charger market absolutely down. Ask any EV owner that, and they'll say, yes, Tesla's got the best chargers, and they're everywhere. So he could buy them. He could also buy Hyundai, $29 billion. Ferrari, get this, for the price of Twitter, he could own Ferrari, all of Ferrari. Not just be a shareholder in Ferrari, not just have a stake in Ferrari. No, he could own Ferrari. If it was my money, that's a tough call. Well, no, it isn't. Of course, I'd buy Ferrari. What am I saying? Own Ferrari and bring all the V12s back. That's what I would do. $39 billion is how much Ferrari is valued at. Also, Honda. Surprisingly, Honda, a little more accessible than Ferrari, but price-wise, Honda's valued a little higher than Ferrari, namely just because Honda makes everything from daily cars to performance sedans and things like that, and the NSX and stuff. $43 billion for Honda. So these are all the things Elon could have bought. These are all the things he could have bought for the price of Twitter. Now, I'm not going to say which was the best decision, though. Buying all of the Toyota Corollas in existence, or buying all of Ferrari, or buying Twitter. I'd have to rule out Twitter right off the bat there. Not even interested. So then we would be arguing between buying every Corolla that was ever manufactured and ever will be, or Ferrari. That's a tough call. That's a really tough call, because if you bought Ferrari, you could bring back the V12s. I mean, they have some V12s, but you could bring them all back. All the V12s. Everything is a V12. No contest. It's all V12 now. You could do that, or you could have all the Corollas ever. That's a tough call. That's a tough call. And I will tell you what, I'll sleep on it. I'll let you know next week what my decision is. Now, speaking of those billionaires, have you noticed how Black Friday is more or less Black Friday week now? And again, slight disclaimer from my European friends, because I see in the analytics for this show, lots of folks listening from Europe. I don't know if Europe has a Black Friday equivalent. I am unversed in that cultural aspect. I just know Black Friday is the Friday after Thanksgiving, and we have Black Friday because we have Thanksgiving. Of course, Thanksgiving again being the holiday where we celebrate the invention of the 4th-gen small block Chevy. But that being said, Black Friday to me is always a weird holiday because, and it's not a holiday, not federally in any way, but it's a de facto holiday because every major company has decided that is the thing, that is the biggest sale point of the year. That is the part of the year we focus on the most, and we do everything for the anticipation of the sales on Black Friday and the number of people. And the whole idea is that things go on sale and everyone decides to buy stuff. I know people who wait an entire year to buy a piece of tech, say a new refrigerator or a new video game console. They will wait the entire year, say, yep, I want to buy the new PlayStation 69. And nice. And so what they'll do is, they could buy it now, and it might be like January. But no, I'm going to wait until Black Friday. I'm going to wait like an entire year until the end of the following November to save what? Like 15%? Is it really worth waiting a whole year to save 15%? Well, that said, when it comes to cars are really expensive, and cars aren't so much something that we consider when we think of Black Friday deals. And Jeff Bezos, everyone's favorite Dr. Evil and, favorite billionaire who builds spaceships, or second favorite billionaire. Does anyone have a favorite billionaire? Does anyone honestly care about billionaires? Probably not. But Jeff Bezos had this to say generally about buying cars and about buying other things. And we're going to kind of tee this into how this relates to buying cars if you're planning on walking into a dealership at the end of this week to go buy one. And we're going to tee that into it. But just listen to this clip here. Here's a Beth Bezos talking about it.
Well, you tweeted batten down the hatches. Mm-hmm. That's what you mean by that?
That's what I mean. If you're an individual and you're thinking about buying a new, large screen TV, maybe slow that down, keep that cash, see what happens. Same thing with a refrigerator or a new car or whatever. Just take some risk off the table. If you're a small business, maybe delay some capital purchases. Do you really need that new piece of equipment? Maybe it can wait a little bit. Have some cash on hand. Just a little bit of risk reduction could make the difference for that small business.
So that was him doing an interview with CNN. And so that's interesting. It's interesting, right? That's weird coming from a guy whose entire company, Amazon, Jeff Bezos, the dude behind Amazon, he made Amazon and still operates the company. That's weird coming from him because Amazon's biggest shtick, their biggest gimmick aside from Amazon Week, which is a holiday they invented, is Black Friday. That is their biggest thing. You go on Amazon and anytime this week, you are going to be bombarded with Black Friday deals and savings and buy stuff now, buy it, buy our stuff, buy our big screen TVs. He's telling you to hold off on big screen TVs. Meanwhile, Amazon is having sales on big screen TVs for Black Friday. And he's saying this in the context of, maybe this holiday season, don't spend so much money. So I find that ironic. And he's also the same guy saying, hey, maybe don't spend so much money. And he's the dude who built his own spaceship, for God's sake. He has his own questionably shaped Dr. Evil spaceship. It is a lot like, I'm not even going to say what it's like, but you know what I mean. But that is unusually sensible car buying advice from a man who could buy any car he wanted any time and not even notice. He probably has cars that he doesn't even know he owns. And it's unusual advice coming from him. Now, how does this tee into Black Friday? I think right now, when it comes to buying a new car at the moment is challenging because of a number of factors. The industry is still reeling from the supply chain issues that were present months and months ago, a year ago, 2 years ago now, thanks to the pandemic, thanks to the lockdowns surrounding said pandemic. And so the car market's still screwy. I mean, when it comes to producing things, Ford has still been having to put vehicles on hold outside their production facilities while they wait for parts. One of my friends, actually, she just put her order in. She's been on the waiting list for a new Ford Bronco, and she just put her order in for that. And they said, yeah, your time is here now. You can put your order in. Your reservation's good. So she goes out, she specs out her Bronco, and is told it could be anywhere between 3 and like 14 months, if not even longer. She put her reservation in right when they came out, right when the Bronco was announced and they opened reservation. She put it in, she put down for it, and she was told she would get a 2022 model year. Now they're telling her she's going to get a 2023 model year, but there's a chance that the one she gets might actually be a 2024 model year, because it might be at the end of 2023 or even further into 2024. Hell, it might even be a 2025 model year. Which that's insane to think about. That is absolutely insane when you think about ordering a car. I get it. When you spec a car, when you order a car brand new, you're going to wait. You're going to wait. I mean, if you don't want to wait, go pick one off the lot. That's how that is. Now, the problem is now, go picking a Bronco. If you say you want a new Bronco and you want to go pick one off the lot, well, good luck, because they're asking, either they don't have them or they're asking over MSRP for them. Now, I will say my friend was pretty sensible, and she ordered a Bronco that had the 4-cylinder option, because that's adequate for what she's doing. And that's what I even talked about on a prior episode of the show, which was, honestly, if I was speccing one out too, I would get the 4-cylinder option with the performance tune. You're making roughly the same horsepower and just a tiny bit less torque with that than the V6 option. And it's substantially cheaper. It's going to be cheaper to operate, cheaper to maintain. It's going to have better fuel economy in the long run. I mean, overall, if it was me, I would pick one with the manual, 7-speed manual, which is only available with the 4-cylinder. It would be a 2-door. That's the end of it right there. But that being said, going to a dealership and buying a car because it's Black Friday is a tougher sell, because when you go on Amazon and you look at the things they try to sell you on Black Friday stuff, it's usually tech. It's usually stuff that's maybe at most $1,000, maybe $2,000, but usually so-called Black Friday deals and savings are on small things. A car, when you look at the average, car price now is in somewhere in the $45,000 to $50,000 range. That's no small purchase, and that's already insanely competitively priced, and dealers are not likely to give you a break on it, not likely to give you any sort of deal, purely because of the fictitious and fabricated corporate holiday of Black Friday, retail holiday. And the thing is, the market's just so strange right now. Now, normally, you can expect some deals on cars at the end of the year, and that has nothing to do with Black Friday. That has everything to do with the fact that the dealer may be trying to liquidate some of their prior year models that they have on the lot. They've got allocations for the next model year coming in. They need to make space. They need to get the old previous ones, the now 2022 model year cars, out of the way in favor of the 2023 model year cars. Problem is, by Black Friday, and especially now with the market the way it is, majority of those 2022 model year cars have already made their way off the lot, because there's so much demand for cars still. Those cars have made their way off the lot. They already have the 2023 model year cars. There's going to be at most, I can see there being deals on leases, but actually buying a car, I don't think you're going to have good luck with that. And not to mention that interest rates right now are doing some weird stuff. You don't want to be locked into an interest rate that's unfavorable for a while. You don't want that. Overall, the market is definitely going through some swings and some questionability. And I think that is where Jeff Bezos does make his valid point, which is, right now, because we don't know what the market's going to do, it could get worse. It could. Indications say it might get worse. Don't burden yourself with 50, 60 grand of debt on a new car right now. Don't do that. Especially if you don't really need it. If you can get some more life out of whatever hunk of junk you're already driving, trust me, I know I have 7 hunks of junk, but if you can already get some more life out of that, might be a good idea, at least until things settle down, until interest rates level back out, stuff like that. Also, my opinion is just, if you were going to buy anyway, and you happen to be buying during Black Friday, and you happen to get a little bit of a discount on anything, this applies to cars, car parts, whatever. That is one thing I do look forward to with Black Friday. A couple of online retailers that are specific to a couple of different cars I have that specialize in those parts are going to be doing Black Friday stuff. I already have a list of things that I need, just stuff that I'm already working on that I know I'm going to need. And it just happens that I'm buying it during Black Friday and getting a good deal on it. That's one thing. If you're going to buy it anyway, If you were already going to buy it, no matter what, that makes reasonable sense. That makes reasonable sense. It's buying something that you weren't going to need at all just because you're saving 8% on it for Black Friday. Again, it doesn't matter if it's cars or houses, or not that anyone's doing Black Friday deals on houses, but it doesn't matter. Cars, houses, consumer electronics, outdoor equipment, it doesn't matter. If you weren't really going to buy it anyway, then what's the point in buying it because you got a little bit of a discount? You still ended up spending money on something you weren't going to buy anyway, so you're still in the negative, which that's what the retailers want. That's what Amazon wants. Contrary to what Jeff Bezos is saying, that's what Amazon wants you to do. But no, if you were going to say, I needed brake pads and rotors anyway, I finished up the track season, I need pads and rotors, I'm going to buy them one way or another, but if I buy them now, I guess I get a discount. That's probably a good way to look at it. Now, the only question then comes to Jeff Bezos again, which is he going to be doing any Black Friday deals on spaceships and rockets, namely? I haven't yet seen rockets for sale on Amazon yet, but we'll see. We'll see. Maybe Jeff Bezos will change his mind and will start selling rockets, which I can't say I would necessarily complain about. So anyway, hey, coming up, I got some more stuff to get to. We are going to talk about how California is writing tickets for stock exhausts now. How does that even work? We're going to talk about it coming up after the break.
At the Speed Council, we understand that to go fast, you sometimes need to spend fast. As the inventor of hypersonic travel, the world's fastest cat, and instant noodles, we know what it takes. Money. Your contributions, bribes, and other monetary gifts keep the lights on at the Speed Council. However, we also know that giving back to our supporters is important, and now through the month of November, if you have contributed to the cause of speed, you're eligible to receive the Automotive ADHD keychain free of charge. New supporters who join through the end of November are also eligible. When you support the Speed Council, you also receive your favorite podcast early, or as one might say, faster. For more information, visit thespeedcouncil.org, because if there's anything we're fast at, it's spending money.
Oh man, that was another fantastic car sound. You've heard that one before. That's from Lucas. That's his 2JZ Swaps RX-8. Fun car, rocking it on the dyno. That didn't sound very California compliant to me. If you ask me, that definitely didn't. Now, why do I bring up California compliance? Well, I bring up California compliance because California has taken to some interesting tactics lately, as evidenced by one driver who posted some dash cam footage from a recent police interaction he had. Now, it's worth noting that what he was driving, what he was driving was a Hyundai Elantra N. That is the performance version of the Hyundai Elantra. And it was a 2022 model year, brand spanking new. And I'm going to leave his name out, and I'm going to play a clip from his police interaction, but leave out most of his stuff. He sounding like he's not very enthusiastic about all the media attention this has received. So I'm just going to keep it short here, and we're going to talk about some of the legalities of this while leaving some of his specifics out of it. But give this a listen. This is what the cop had to say to him.
Okay, so what they're going to do here, let me have your license. So what happens, I send you to state ref. All right, state ref here in California. They're going to suspend your registration.
Okay.
You can't drive the car. You got to go take it to the state ref. They're going to look at it. They're going to send you back to the dealer. The dealer has to remove the track ops that you have to pay for. It's about $4,000. Once that's been done, you go back to the state ref to verify all the track modes have been removed. You cannot drive this on the road with the track mode.
You can't drive this on the road with track mode, he says. And then it's going to cost $4,000 to remove the track mode. I am afraid that this officer is a little uneducated with how these things work. Namely, how track mode works in a number of cars. How it's not just a thing they install onto your Elantra. They don't just, plug in a thing and there's your track mode. It's kind of built into the vehicle. It's not something you can uninstall. The infotainment system, the driver control system is completely designed to operate around that principle. And it includes a lot of other things. I mean, tunes to the ECU, all this stuff. The sport mode adjusts the way the suspension handles, the dynamic suspension, your adjustable dampening on stuff. It adjusts the timing and the boost and all sorts of things with the engine. It's going to open an exhaust valve and adjust the sound of the exhaust, which is the predominant offender in this case. But that's not just something you have them uninstall. And then he says, yeah, it's going to be $4,000. Dealer's going to have to uninstall it. What? Where's he getting that number from? And how did he, again, it's an entirely flawed thing. But before we even criticize that, I do have to thank the owner of this vehicle. He posted a lot of his plight with the law onto Reddit, so people could look at it and kind of commentate on it a little bit. And again, going to kind of keep his anonymity here, regardless. But again, he was driving a 2022 Hyundai Elantra N, again, N being the performance model of the Hyundai Elantra. And he, in the police interaction, when the cop pulled him over and asked him why his car, earlier in that video, which I didn't play the whole thing there, I didn't want to play the entire thing for you there, but what he did is, the cop said, why is it popping and banging and doing all of this? What's wrong with it? And it's stock. It's entirely stock. His car is 100% unmodified. He hasn't touched a thing on it. Now, the fact is that California has always been intensely strict when it comes to cars, when it comes to emissions, when it comes to exhaust noise. And here's the thing. So the issue is what happened to this driver, and he talked about some of the things, the repercussions from this, what he did. And the reason I will admit, this may come as old news to some of you because most of this surfaced about mid-October. And I'm only talking about it now because I did want to wait for more things to come on this. I didn't want to give you entirely incomplete information. I wanted to see what would happen with it. So I just kind of wanted to sit on this topic until we heard more about it, and which we have now heard more about it, which is that he took his car, and so he received the ticket. When you receive the so-called fix-it ticket in California, you take your car to the state ref, and the ref is going to inspect it and is going to test it for sound and see if it complies or not. If it complies with the law, then what's going to happen is the state ref is going to write you a document that then you take to court, and then when you're in court, you say, hey, they checked it out, the inspector checked it out, all is good. And the judge says, okay, all is good, have a nice day. The problem is, so he took his stock Hyundai Elantra N model, which has various drive modes. It does have, a regular mode, and it has sport mode. It's got sport plus mode. And sport plus mode does open a valve in the exhaust to make it louder. And the thing is, when he took it to the testing facility, they insisted on testing it with the loudest setting on. They said, we must test it in sport plus mode, whatever the most aggressive setting is. And they did that, and the car failed. Now, in California, passenger vehicles are regulated to 95 decibels, which they say is about the equivalent of the average gas-powered lawnmower, which is not very loud. But 95 decibels is the maximum allowable amount. And here, I did some research on this because we're going to kind of break down some of the facts, going to break down some of the laws, and I'm going to give you some more of my analysis on what I think is going on here and what I think needs to happen. But California, the California code says that it's California code 27150 section A, if you're interested. But it says, quote, every motor vehicle equipped with an internal combustion engine and subject to registration shall at all times be equipped with an adequate muffler in constant operation and properly maintained to prevent any excessive or unusual noise. Goes on to say, quote, and no muffler or exhaust system shall be equipped with a cutout, bypass, or a similar device. Where does that leave stock baffles and stock valves? That's a gray area. That's a little bit of a gray area because clearly this car was sold in California by Hyundai in California. Therefore, for whatever reason, I would have to assume, legally speaking, the exhaust valve, because it doesn't just cut out. It's not a valve that just opens and dumps the exhaust gas out before the muffler. That's what we would traditionally call a cutout. Therefore, you're basically running straight piped. All that gas is dumping out before the muffler, sometimes even before the catalytic converter, just right there at the bottom of the header. It's like an open header. That's as loud as it gets. That's like literally as loud as it gets. That would be a cutout or a bypass. However, the thing here is, and in a lot of modern cars that have adjustable exhaust tones, that have adjustable exhaust volumes, there's no actual bypass. You're not dumping the exhaust gas out before the muffler. You're not doing that at all. You're just changing the valving to another chamber in the muffler that maybe is a little less restrictive. So it's still going through the muffler. It's just changing the routing of it to a maybe less restrictive path that they deliberately set up in the muffler to only use when that valve is open. So that's not what they would consider a bypass. Now, here's what's interesting. I kept reading some of the California code because I wanted to get a good idea of how they test this. What do they do to test this? Because clearly, this car was allowed. It was tested and allowed for sale in California. I mean, obviously, because it was sold in California, it must have at some point met the requirements, and it's a new car, so you can't say it was wear and tear in the exhaust system that caused it to be louder than it was designed to be. It's a brand new car. So I continued to read through the code, and basically, and I'll kind of give you a synopsis. One section here says the Department of Motor Vehicles shall not register on a dealer's report of sale a new motor vehicle except an off-highway motor vehicle, so like off-road vehicles, like ATVs, things like that, which produces a maximum noise exceeding the applicable noise limit at a distance of 50 feet from the center line of travel under test procedures established by the Department of California Highway Patrol. What the hell does that mean? What are the procedures established by the Department of Highway Patrol? So I continued looking into this, and they don't actually give you a clear testing guideline. They don't. They say the California State Patrol adopted standards that were based, not exactly duplicated, but based off of the SAE standard J1169. Nice. But SAE, Society of Automotive Engineers, you see them in all sorts of stuff. But that said, I looked into what that was. What is that? Well, you can't actually get the information on the SAE standard J1169 because it's behind a paywall with the SAE. You have to buy the SAE's manual on noise regulation. It's like $70 to $100 just to get that one standard, which the best I can find from other folks online who have watched the test done consists of positioning a decibel meter, a device designed to determine how loud something is and quantify that in a numerical value. You put that a certain distance from an exhaust at a certain angle, and then you test the engine at different RPMs. Now, the last thing, and this is completely indicative of what I think, which is the Department of Motor Vehicles, they continue to say here that, quote, the Department of Motor Vehicles may accept a dealer certificate as proof of compliance with this article, which that tells me that possibly, they don't actually test every car. It's just that the DMV, when they register cars, say, okay, a dealer certificate. They're proof as a dealer. They say, I'm a dealer, which I'm a dealer of Hyundais, and I sell this car new, which means that everything is tested and everything is good. So does this mean there's a breakdown in the testing procedure, in the procedures that were outlined that Hyundai had to comply with in order to sell this car with a dealer license through their dealer network? And is that what that means? Also, this guy who got this ticket, this guy has been fighting this and in court, and he's not been having luck with it. Now, he's even said that he's fed up with the whole thing and that he might just sell the car to also help with some of his legal fees in dealing with this and just get it gone, which is an unfortunate situation. As a owner of something like that, as a car enthusiast, as just someone who respects private property, you shouldn't have to be forced to sell your car to deal with the legal ramifications from what is clearly a broken system operated by the state. I mean, this driver said that Hyundai corporate has been thoroughly unhelpful in helping him out. Now, if you read other media outlets who've been reporting on this situation, they say that they reached out to Hyundai. Hyundai tells them that, yes, we're working with the owner to resolve this. He says that's bogus. That's not happening. He said he's talked to like 2 people on customer support, and that's it. But it doesn't matter if Hyundai's helping out or not. The courts should, and again, hey, I'm no lawyer here. if you are a lawyer and you would love to school me on this, and be on the show, I would love to have you on, especially any lawyers that are in California and who are specifically knowledgeable in things like traffic and stuff like that, like traffic lawyers and things. It would be fascinating to hear a lawyer's perspective on this. But, the courts, I would say, would take a look at that one thing that says, quote, the Department of Motor Vehicles may accept a dealer certificate as proof of compliance with this article, and say, okay, you bought this car new, you bought it from a dealer. It clearly did not pass the noise testing, which it's debatable if the noise testing procedure even accounts for exhaust valves and new systems. I mean, a lot of these governmental things and these procedures are dated. When I was researching that SAE standard on testing it, and I couldn't find the actual written standard, but all the documents I found relating to it were from like 1998. So it's just possible that the system is not actually, in a very governmental and bureaucratic way, that it's just not designed for these modern vehicles that have adjustable exhausts and all these other things. It's just possible it's not designed for that, and it leaves it up to the discretion of the testing official to say, okay, test it in street mode. Nope. Oh, you got to test it in track mode, and we know it's going to fail in track mode. The issue is just, it's confusing. And why should it be confusing? And why should a single owner be penalized for something? He bought a car brand new and did not modify it. In fact, the dude even, it's a brand new car. The dude even has a warranty on it, presumably, because it's a new car, which should afford him the luxury of not needing to worry about violating any noise ordinances or laws with it. Now, you might say, okay, well, putting it in track mode is clearly a problem on the street, and the system warns you of that. No, it doesn't. I watched a number of videos of the breakdown and how you change different track modes in the Elantra N, and you know what? Hyundai may update this, considering this incident. They may put a little disclaimer when you push track mode. Don't use this on the streets. This doesn't, conform to standards, blah, blah, blah. They may do that. As of now, and in my research and looking at the manual, the owner's manual, I don't see that. You just put it in N mode, and it just is in N mode now, and it's got the open baffles. So in at least in the research that I did, that's what I saw. So what this needs, if they're citing, people for having uncompliant exhausts, clearly it's a stock car. You need to cite the manufacturer then. That's just simply plain and simple. California needs to say that, okay, well, this owner didn't know this, and also this owner is legally not responsible for the fact that this car is not compliant because they bought it off the showroom floor, went and drove it, and then got a ticket for it. You need to do something about that as the manufacturer. They need to stop penalizing the owner of the car. That's just plain and simple. Now, and don't take this as legal advice, okay? But this is my take. This is my unique take here, which is if they are issuing tickets for having stock exhausts, if that's truly what they're doing, whether it's in track mode or not, which, by the way, the California exhaust and noise laws there don't mention anything about track mode or otherwise. They don't say, and track mode is prohibited on the street, because they don't. They just plain old don't. But if they are issuing tickets for stock exhaust, then what is your incentive to not modify your exhaust, right? So if you're going to get a ticket, whether it's stock or not, just modify it then. That's what I would do, because I know I'm going to get a ticket. If it's stock or if it's not, I'm going to get a ticket anyway. No matter what I do, I'm going to get cited for it. So I would just modify it because I would enjoy it more modified, and I know I'm going to get penalized anyway, to the same degree, penalized whether it's stock or whether it's not stock. So just make it not stock and have fun with it. Then again, don't do that. And then if you get in trouble, don't say, yeah, this dude on this car talk show thing told me to do it. I'll go, no, I didn't hear you. What'd you say? Nope, no idea. It's definitely not recorded. It's not anywhere. But that's what I feel, right? And it goes to a point that if you're going to enforce a law about this, the state should make the testing procedures clear and easily accessible. If I can't find it in an hour of searching, how do you expect an owner of a car who just bought this car, who assumes this car is compliant because it's stock and it's brand new, how are you going to expect them to find it? If someone who's earnestly looking for it can't find at least a clear answer, but only finds vague descriptions, what are you going to do? How can you expect the citizens to comply with the law if you're not even stating the requirements of the law very clearly, or if those requirements are dated? They just very well may be dated. That may be the issue. And obviously, the judge should immediately throw out a ticket and instead of taking up the issue and fining the owner of the car, in this case, they should take up the issue with the testing procedures, with the laws, and with the manufacturers. So, also, yeah, there you go. There you go. And officers really shouldn't, if you're just driving around, that dude was minding his own business in that dash cam footage. He was really polite to the cop every time, and the dude was like, yeah, you're going to have to pay for it. If you got a problem with that, take it up with the dealer, sue the dealer. Come on, man. I've talked to a lot of nice cops. That's not giving cops a good image right there. And there's a lot of cops who would look at that and go, yeah, I wouldn't say it like that. So anyway, there you go. There you go. I hope you have a fantastic Thanksgiving. I know I said that this show was going to be shorter, and then here I am blabbing away for an hour. So hey, that's what I do. That's why you tune in, and let me know your thoughts on all of this stuff. You can message me on the Facebook page, facebook.com/automotiveadhd. And remember that this show also happens on video platforms now, YouTube and Rumble, which is fantastic. And I am posting an episode from the vault every other day there. And we're going to do that until we run out of episodes. Then we'll go weekly on it. Check it out. And of course, you can find this show wherever fine podcasts and, this one, Mediocre Car Shows, are downloaded. I want to thank all the Patreon members as well. Have a fantastic holiday. I will see you right here, same time, same place next week when I'll be shaking off that food coma. That's going to be good. I'll talk to you then.